I was 6 when I realized the world inside my own house had 2 sets of rules. One for me and one for Kayla. It was a December morning. The year's snow refused to fall even though we lived in a place that always promised white Christmases. I had been waiting weeks for the small, wrapped box under the tree. My mother had labeled it with my name in her slanted handwriting. I imagined what it could be. Maybe the action figure I had pointed out at the store. Maybe a puzzle. Maybe even a new sketchbook. When I tore off the wrapping, my excitement wilted. Socks. Thick wool socks, gray and itchy. My father clapped me on the shoulder. "Practical gift," he said. "You'll thank us later." Across the room, Kayla squealed, her 3-year-old fingers tearing through glittery wrapping paper. Inside was a Barbie dream house, 3 stories tall, with plastic furniture that clicked into place. The living room lights actually worked when she pushed a button. "Anything for my princess?" my father said proudly. She twirled around the room with her new doll, while I sat clutching socks that smelled faintly of mothballs. That was Christmas in our house. Mountains for her, crumbs for me. It never got better. On my 8th birthday, I asked for a cake shaped like a rocket. Instead, my mother baked a plain sheet cake with white frosting. "It's cheaper," she said, sliding it onto the table. Kayla got a magician at her 8th birthday. 30 kids crowded our backyard, laughing as doves fluttered out of a hat. By 10, I stopped asking. When I brought home an award from the city spelling bee, my teacher gave me a shiny certificate. I raced home, heart pounding, waiting for them to be proud. My mom skimmed it, nodded. "That's nice, honey." Then she turned to Kayla, who was trying on a new soccer uniform, and said, "Look at you. You look like such a star." At school, other kids called me smart. At home, I was the babysitter, the helper, the backup plan. "You're the strong one," Mom always said. "Kayla needs more attention. You'll understand when you're older." But I understood plenty. I was the shadow in my own house. By middle school, the pattern hardened. Report card day, my A's earned a brief nod. Kayla's B's earned ice cream trips. Talent show, my poem got polite claps. Kayla's clumsy piano recital earned standing ovations. Graduation, I walked across the stage to mild applause. Kayla, 2 years later, got balloons, roses, and a rented limo. One night, when I was 14 and Kayla was 11, we sat at the dinner table. I had just aced a math test, one of the hardest in the class. I was buzzing with pride. "Dad, I got the highest grade in school," I said, sliding the paper toward him. He barely glanced. "Good, that's expected of you." He reached for the salt. Kayla chimed in. "I scored 2 goals in soccer today." Dad's face lit up. "That's my girl. Maybe we should get you new cleats." Mom clapped. "She's so talented." And my math test? It sat under the salt shaker, forgotten. That night I cried into my pillow. Not because I wanted cleats. Not because I hated Kayla. But because I finally realized that nothing I did would ever be enough. By high school, Kayla had a wardrobe filled with brand names. I wore hand-me-downs or thrift store finds. When she asked for a phone, she got the newest iPhone on release day. When I asked, I got a lecture about responsibility and a prepaid flip phone. They always said the same thing. She needs more. You'll be fine. But I wasn't fine. I was crumbling in silence. By the time Kayla turned 18, favoritism wasn't just habit, it was tradition. The morning of her birthday, I woke up to noise outside. Laughter, cheers, the hum of a car engine. Curious, I peeked through the blinds. The driveway was decorated like a movie set. Balloons tied to the mailbox. Streamers dangling from the garage. A cluster of neighbors holding cameras. And there it was, a huge velvet tarp draped over something tall and gleaming. My stomach twisted. When I stepped outside, the air smelled like cake frosting and gasoline. My mother was buzzing around, hugging neighbors, thanking everyone for coming. My father stood tall in front of the garage, grinning like a king about to present his crown jewel. Kayla bounced on her heels, eyes wide. "What is it? Tell me." "Wait for it," Dad said, savoring the moment. The garage door rattled open. The tarp slid off. And there it stood, a brand new white BMW so shiny it hurt my eyes. A giant red bow was strapped across the hood, ribbons spilling down the sides like a waterfall. The crowd gasped. Kayla screamed. Literally screamed, dropping to her knees in front of the car like she had seen God himself. "Oh my God!" she shrieked. Is this mine?" Dad nodded proud. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." Mom was crying, holding tissues to her eyes. "We're so proud of you. You've worked so hard. You deserve this." Worked so hard? Kayla had never worked a day in her life. She was still in high school. I worked 2 part-time jobs and studied late into the night, and I'd never even gotten a proper cake. Kayla hugged them both, her face buried in Dad's chest. "I love you. This is the best day ever." Everyone clapped. Neighbors pulled out their phones. Someone even whistled. And me? I stood in the back, awkward, holding the thin birthday card they had pressed into my hand just minutes before. I opened it. Inside were 2 single-dollar bills. Crisp, folded, mocking me. I froze. My stomach dropped like I'd been pushed off a cliff. At first, I thought it was a joke. A placeholder gift. Maybe there was more later. But when I looked up, Dad was already patting Kayla's shoulder. Mom was laughing through tears, and the photographer was shouting, "Smile! Hug the car!" No one looked at me. No one cared. I tucked the card into my pocket, forcing a smile onto my face before anyone could see the crack forming. "Don't be ungrateful," Dad said when he finally glanced at me as if reading my mind. "It's something. Something." That word burned hotter than fire. Kayla climbed into the driver's seat, revving the engine. The BMW purred like a predator. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." She screamed as if the world itself had bent to her will. Everyone crowded around her, taking turns posing with the car, touching the bow, congratulating her. "Best parents ever," someone said. I slipped inside the house. My hands shook as I pulled out the card again, staring at the 2 bills. $2. 21 years of being invisible. And all I was worth, in their eyes, was 2. The celebration raged on into the night. Music blasted from speakers in the living room, neighbors and friends helping themselves to wine and cake. Kayla kept running outside to film TikToks with her new car, each one louder, shinier, more exaggerated than the last. "New ride, who dis?" she shouted in one video, leaning against the hood, bow tilted dramatically. "Birthday girl in her BMW!" she squealed in another, flashing the keys. Each clip ended with my parents laughing in the background, clapping, beaming like producers of a blockbuster movie. I hovered on the edges, plastering a smile whenever someone turned my way. I heard the whispers too. "Wow, they really love her. She's so lucky. Her brother? Oh, he'll be fine, he's the serious one." That word again, fine, always fine, always surviving, never celebrated. By the time the last guest trickled out, my chest ached from holding in the weight of invisibility. Kayla uploaded her BMW TikTok compilation at midnight. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, when my phone buzzed with a notification. She had tagged me. Caption: "Sis only got $2 for her B-Day, dogger BMW Bauer favorite child." I froze. My thumb hovered over the screen. The comments poured in within minutes. "L sibling moment. Damn, your parents know who the favorite is. He should just move out, LOL. Imagine being worth 2. Each comment was a knife. Strangers, people who didn't know me, laughing at my humiliation like it was entertainment. "And Kayla?" She was replying with laughing emojis. My hands trembled. My stomach twisted. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone against the wall, to march into her room and demand why she thought my pain was content. Instead, I sat there silent, because silence was what they'd trained me in. The comments dragged me backward into old memories. 9 years old, Christmas morning. Kayla got a pink bike with streamers. I got a secondhand board game with half the pieces missing. 13 years old. Kayla failed a math test. Mom comforted her with ice cream. I scored a perfect paper. Dad told me, "Don't brag." 17 years old, my graduation. My parents showed up late, missing my speech. Kayla got flowers that day too, just for being supportive. And now, Kayla with a BMW, me with $2. It was never going to change. By 2 a.m., the house was silent. Kayla was asleep, probably dreaming of the open road. My parents were snoring down the hall. I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at the duffel bag in the corner. Something inside me whispered, "Leave." I stood, My body moved before my brain could argue. I grabbed the bag, stuffed in clothes, my laptop, a toothbrush, and the $20 bill I had been saving. I looked around the room one last time. 4 bare walls. No posters, no trophies, no signs that this space had ever really been mine. I picked up my phone. Opened the family group chat. My fingers hovered, then typed 3 words. I'm done. Goodbye. Send. Then, one by one, I hit block. Mom, Dad, Kayla. Every relative who ever called. Only when they needed me. The silence afterward felt like stepping into clean air after years of smoke. I opened the front door. The night air was sharp, cold, honest. There it was, Kayla's BMW, still parked in the driveway, bow slumped but intact. It gleamed under the streetlight like a monument to everything I wasn't given. For a second, I stopped. My reflection stared back at me from the car's polished surface. One sibling worshipped, one discarded. I could have kicked it, scratched it, left a mark. But I didn't. I adjusted my duffel bag and kept walking. Because revenge wasn't about breaking their toy. Revenge was leaving them to realize they'd broken me, and I wasn't coming back. At 2:15 a.m., I sat on a cold bench at the bus stop, duffel bag at my feet. The street was empty. A single moth circled the lamppost. I pulled out the birthday card, opened it, stared at the $2 bills. Then I tore them in half. The paper ripped cleanly, no resistance, like even the universe knew they were worthless. The pieces fluttered to the ground, caught in the wind, and disappeared into the night. I sat back, heart pounding, for the first time in years feeling free. The first weeks after I left blurred together like a bad dream. I stayed with my friend Marcus, who had a tiny studio apartment above a laundromat. The place smelled like detergent and steam, and the walls were so thin I could hear the spin cycles below. Marcus handed me a blanket and a lumpy couch pillow. You can crash here as long as you need, he said. I thanked him, meaning it, but shame gnawed at me. At night, I lay awake staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the machines whirring below, wondering if I'd made a mistake. But every time doubt crept in, I thought of the BMW with the red bow. The laughter. The TikTok caption, Sis only got $2 for her B-Day. And I remembered why I had left. I found work wherever I could. By day, I brewed lattes at a coffee shop, learning how to smile at customers even when my feet ached. By night, I delivered takeout on my old bike, pedaling through rain and cold. Sometimes I earned just enough to buy a sandwich and a bus ticket. Rent money for Marcus was all I could offer. A few crumpled bills left on his kitchen counter. He always pretended not to notice. I skipped meals. I wore the same jeans for a week straight. I studied under flickering lights in the laundromat lobby because it was quieter than the apartment. One night, a customer left a tip of $5. I went to the grocery store and bought eggs. When I cracked one into the pan, the sizzle sounded like music. Meanwhile, Kayla's BMW became an online star, her Instagram filled with photo shoots. Beside it, leaning against the hood and designer sunglasses, captioned "Hard work pays off." A video of her revving the engine outside Starbucks, pulling up in style. The comments gushed, goals. Rich girl vibes. None of them knew the truth. None of them knew she hadn't worked a day in her life. Sometimes I watched from a fake account, anger twisting my gut. Other times I scrolled past without looking, telling myself she was part of a world I'd left behind. One night, Marcus came home to find me hunched over my laptop, tears streaking my face. What happened? He asked. I applied to 12 internships, I choked out. Got rejected from all of them. He sat beside me silent for a long time. Then he said, You know what the difference is between you and them? You keep going. They don't. I wanted to believe him. But that night, I dreamed of my parents' faces. My father saying, Don't be ungrateful. It's something. And I woke up shaking. Months passed. My savings crept upward in small increments. I bought a used blazer from a thrift shop, patched the elbows, and wore it to interviews. Most ended with polite rejections. Then one day, a financial firm called me back. We liked your persistence, the manager said. You don't have the polish we usually see, but you have grit. Come in Monday. I hung up the phone, heart racing. For the first time in years, hope flickered. That night, I sat on the laundromat steps with Marcus, splitting a cheap pizza. The cheese barely stretched, the crust was too hard, but it was the best meal I'd had in months. "Maybe this is it," I said quietly. Marcus grinned. "This is the start. Just wait." I looked up at the night sky. Stars faint through the city haze, and for once I believed him. Monday morning, I walked into the financial firm wearing my thrift store blazer. My shoes were scuffed, my resume thin, but my hands were steady. The office smelled like coffee and printer ink. People moved quickly, their shoes clicking against polished floors. For once, I didn't feel like the shadow in the room. I felt like maybe, just maybe, I had a chance to belong. The first weeks were brutal. I stayed late, triple-checking spreadsheets, asking questions until my throat ached. I wasn't the smartest in the room, but I was the hungriest. One evening, a senior analyst named Priya stopped by my desk. "You've got something," she said. "Not polish. Not charm, but grit. Don't lose it." Her words lit a fire in me. Within 6 months, I went from intern to assistant analyst. My paychecks grew. I moved out of Marcus's apartment and into a tiny studio of my own. The walls were cracked, the window stuck half open, but it was mine. The first night there, I sat on the floor with a takeout box of noodles, looking around the empty room, whispering to myself, "You did this. No one else, just you." While my world slowly built itself, theirs began to crack. Kayla's BMW, the pride of her life, started showing up less on Instagram. The paint chipped, a headlight cracked. She posted stories about expensive repairs, captioned with crying emojis. Mom's Facebook posts shifted too, less about vacations, more about life being stressful. Dad's business ventures hit snags. Relatives whispered about bad investments. I didn't feel joy at their decline. Just distance, like I was watching a movie I'd already seen the ending to. 2 years passed. Then came the email. A cousin's wedding. A big family event. Everyone invited, including me. At first, I hovered over the delete button, but curiosity gnawed at me. What would they say? How would they look at me? Did they still see me as the child worth two? I bought a suit. Not expensive, but tailored. I wanted to walk in not as the forgotten kid, but as the adult I had built from ashes. The wedding hall glowed with chandeliers. Laughter and music filled the air. I spotted Kayla near the buffet table. The BMW was parked outside, paint dull, the bow long gone. She saw me first. Her eyes widened. For a second, I thought she'd turn away. Instead, she walked up slowly. "Hey," she whispered. "You look different." "So do you," I said softly. She bit her lip. "I'm sorry. For that night. For everything." Her voice cracked. And for the first time, I saw not the golden child, not the BMW girl, but my little sister. Then my mother appeared, tears already streaming. "We've missed you so much." My father followed, quieter than I'd ever seen him. He extended his hand. "Family is family," he said gruffly. I looked at them, at the people who had handed me $2 while crowning my sister queen. I could have screamed. I could have unleashed every memory, every wound. But instead I shook his hand. Because I wasn't there for revenge. I was there for closure. That night, a relative asked me if I regretted leaving. I thought of the laundromat nights, the skipped meals, the rejections. I thought of the humiliation of being tagged in a TikTok as the sibling worth $2. Then I thought of my tiny apartment, my paycheck, my independence. The freedom of never again begging for scraps of love. "No," I said simply. "I don't regret leaving. Not for a second." Kayla hugged me before I left. My parents stood together, smaller than I remembered, their power dimmed. Outside, I walked past her BMW one last time. The bow was gone, the shine faded. And it hit me. Their gift had been temporary. Mine was permanent. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't slamming doors or making scenes. Sometimes the greatest revenge is leaving, blocking, and building a life so solid, so self-made, that the people who gave you $2 at your lowest never get to spend a penny of your happiness.